Welcome to the Live Loving Livestream with John Davis. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to the Live Loving Livestream. I'm really happy to be here with you this evening, Friday night. It's here again. Yay! Really excited. Very excited to be here and talk to you guys about your topics. I see that Joe already put a question out there, and I want to go ahead and just jump on it. I agree 100% with I Am Love 68, that it is in the feelings. God speaks to us in our feelings, not our thinkings. And so when something comes in that just feels different, that's where it's coming from. And so that's how I discern it. And usually I go to the space before I get that answer. So I like actively exhale and release my own fears, my own anxieties, and my own issues before I get really into the depth of getting information. Oh, you like the new specs, huh? If you knew me, you'd know that in my house there's probably 100 pairs of reading glasses everywhere, and I just wanted to change, so I bought a whole new set. Hello, Brittany. Welcome. Becky, welcome again. Kimberly, hi, Kimberly. When you recall past lives, how do you perceive the language here in Aramaic? I love that question. It's a great question. Do I hear my past life experiences in Aramaic? Ever since my first regression, I've heard it in English. Now, what's really interesting is what happened in the first regression was I opened my eyes. I was on that beach. And I turned, and my father was there. Not my father from this life, Zebedee, my father in that life. And he was talking to me, and I couldn't understand him. And the reason I couldn't understand him is because he was speaking a different language. And I said, I don't know what he's saying. I can't understand. And the regressionist, who tries to stay very clean about she didn't want to affect anything. So she said, imagine you put a megaphone up to your ear, and you could hear what he was saying. And it was like imagining this concept, and suddenly I started hearing in English, and then I've heard in English ever since. And what's really interesting is sometimes the words in English don't really match the words in the ancient languages, so it gets very sometimes convoluted in the wording because it's trying to match what it's being said, but it says it with the same spirit, and it's kind of like Elizabethan language. Elizabethan language, when you study Shakespeare, you discover that, instead of saying have a nice day, they would say something like have a fine and glorious day. They would add and embellish. That's kind of sometimes how I hear those kind of things, because the embellishments make the idea complete. Let's see who else is here. Valley Wills, hello. Welcome, Valley Wills. Frequency 101. It is going well, my brother. Call me brother. Well, thank you. I appreciate that you guys like the work. I do also want to say it has been a crazy few weeks with this new interview that went live with Alex on Next Level Soul. And I have been, Alex has been just lovely at helping me kind of address some new things with my channel, and you may notice some tweaks and changes here and there. And what I really appreciate his help. I also really appreciate your help. All of your kind words, your donations, your super thanks. They not only make me feel like I'm doing something good in the world, but it also really truly does help me keep a roof over my head. So I completely appreciate when you guys do that, because it's just overwhelming, and I try to respond to everyone who does anything on my channel, but sometimes some people really do overwhelm me with some of their kindness. So I just appreciate you. Lisa White, welcome. Chitra, welcome back. I'm glad you liked that answer, Kimberly. So let me now we can get the party started. That's right. Nothing starts without Chitra. You got to realize that. And guys, we have Chitra. Is it okay if I mention your friend? Let me know, and we'll do a group thing here. if it's all right with you, just let me know, because I would love to do that and get a moving intention. Oh, you know what, Becky? It's interesting. We are because of that show that in Next Level Soul. Right now, the readings are booked out till July, so lock in one of the calendar while you can. they're getting pushed way back. Yes, please. All right. So hello, Sarah. Welcome, Sarah, and thank you for your insight the other day on the Roman emperors. I saw that, and I really appreciate that. Really pretty wonderful. I love I don't claim to be perfect, but and I always appreciate when someone corrects something I'm saying, because I'd rather put the real truth out. Nah, that's great. So everyone, our good friend, our lovely Chitra has a friend who is in need of some loving, healing intention. And so what I would like to do is I would like to just put out a very simple prayer intention. And if you guys, whatever method you do to sending out intention, please, what I'd like you to do is just in that time, in this next few minutes, let's just go ahead and send something. Let's go ahead and send something out to is it Chitra? Is it Bob? If I remember correctly, is it Bill? Bill, thank you. Hey, we were thinking alike. I just saw you pop that up. That's so funny, Bill. So let's put an intention out for Bill's perfect health. So here's the way I do it. I exhale. I just get into the feeling of that perfect health. Thank you, God, for that perfect health that Bill is receiving. So be it. Amen. And I'm sure that's going to do a great deal. A great deal for Bill, and I'm sure that Bill will feel, and I'm sure Chitra will let us know. You are quite welcome, Chitra. Absolutely. I also, later tonight, I just got an email this evening that I found. For those of you who follow, like some of the people who do testimonials about the private sessions, a woman who gave me a private session testimonial a month and a half, 2 months ago. If you go on johnofnew.com, you can see it, where she said that she started taking her belief and her faith and her strength, and she shrank her cancer tumors. And she just sent me another message where she's got even more health now. And so I'm going to be putting that up on the community page tonight on the channel. So, and what I love about her testimonial is we had a conversation about how she can heal herself. And she took her faith, she took her belief, and she's absolutely 100% healing herself. And so I love that, because his teachings were about empowering you and showing you your divinity. And to hear someone say they took the teachings and healed themselves means a great deal to me. And to see someone doing that, just it makes everything I do, makes the 900 videos on the channel worthwhile in my mind. So what other questions do we have, guys? I see you guys are kicking butt out here, and I can't type anymore, so I'll just close my keyboard and just watch the stream over here. I had someone hop on the other day and ask me a question because of the video I did on the Level Up Spirit channel about the interpretation of the Sermon on the Mount. And there was a part in there that says, do your works in secret. And his concern was that he put up a result of one on Facebook, and people were saying how great it was, and it went kind of viral because people were saying how wonderful it was, and he was feeling weird that he he had put it out there because he didn't do it in secret. I said, those passages in the sermon were not about not letting people know. What they were about was you not being vain about it, you not getting into your own self-importance about it, or showing yourselves for being a spiritual person by the acts that you're doing. It was more about the intention behind. So I wouldn't stress at all about people seeing the good works you do, as long as your intention behind it is pure, and it's not about glorifying yourself. So let me jump over here. Lisa, I'm eager to ask you about the interesting thing about the Garden of Gethsemane, Lisa, is I don't have memories of that night, and it's one of the moments that I wish I really truly did. Unfortunately, my memories are not complete. They come in sporadically, and when after the regression, it's like somebody will say something and it'll trigger something, but it hasn't. That was one of the ones that never has triggered for me. So I actually don't remember that. And the only real memory right now I have of Jeshua's punishment was actually the crucifixion itself, and I don't necessarily have anything before that, and I don't know if that's because John was tasked with taking care of his wife and his mother, so I don't know whether they were even at that event or not. So I don't really know. Oh, thank you, Chitra, about the blueprint. About the blueprint, because I think that a lot of people get into that concept of soul contracts and blueprints and all that, and I really think that it actually takes the power away. It literally takes energy and your own divinity away from you if everything is fated and destined. So to me, it really is an important, really important topic. The other topic that's really important is I had someone the other day who booked a reading and then sent me a message about why I have a no refund policy on my readings, and I said because most people who have tried to cancel, which there's only been one or two, they've usually done it 5 minutes before the session, and I get charged for transactions because it goes from to me to PayPal to the bank, from the bank back to PayPal, back to the person, and I'm getting fees. And but one of the things that I find really interesting is there is this broad concept that spirituality and money, never the twain shall they meet, and that's it's the love of money, not money, that's evil. So let me jump down again. Hello, T Weeks. Let me see what you have to say here. T Weeks, I don't take anything personally. If I think it's being judgmental, I will mention that, and I'll ask before I will declare that it is. I ask. I'm a questioner. I ask questions just to find out what intention is. I don't believe in an external God at all. I believe that we are one with God, and if you watch my channel, you'll hear me talk about the oneness all the time. I believe we are all interconnected. We are all one with God. And as Jeshua said in the Bible, the Father and I are one. But Jeshua also said that we are the same. Greater works than I've done you will do. It's your faith that heals you. He told us that he was showing us our potential, our abilities, our own divinity. And that was the core teachings of his work. And so I wanted to, I love the question, and I didn't think you're being judgmental at all. I love when people ask questions, because the other thing is everyone comes from their own perspective, and as my mom said, spirituality is a personal journey. So if what I'm saying does not match anything you think, then it's not your truth, and you shouldn't follow it. And if something I say does resonate, then incorporate it into your truth. But it is all about all of us finding our own way to love in general. See what we got here. A faithful. Well, frequency 101. I am so sorry that you have lost your brother-in-law today. Um, just remember that the life of the brother-in-law is who he was. The death is just a fleeting moment, and don't stay focused on the grief. Remember them for who they were, and remember them. That's the best way to honor them, is to remember them for who they were in life, and then when they've gone to the other side, and they've actually come to a space of being embraced in the oneness of God and the love of God. So you're the one who's away. They're back home, and so on the other side, they're looking down at you, and they're seeing you for the life that you live and who you are, and they're seeing the small moment of grief at the end of his life, and they know that it's only fleeting, because you will go on, and you will come back to that joyful person and that person that they know and love. So another way to honor them is to be the person that they know and love. So let me jump back down. Well, you know what's funny, T Weeks? I find that there's more people who believe in the oneness and eternal God than there are the other ones. And it's very interesting, because they come out of the woodwork, and they usually say like this: I believe what you believe, right? Because they don't want the rest of them to hear it, because the rest of them are loud and belligerent, and it's a matter of they're afraid to say it for afraid of not being loved. I just, if they don't resonate with me and they don't like me, that's not mine. That's theirs. I love them no matter who they are, and I understand where they are on their journey, and it's for them to live, right? Well, thank you. I am Love 68. I actually have had the chance to interview Neil twice, and you'll see the one interview is over on the Level Up Spirit channel. You can see it over there. I also interviewed him on an old podcast I used to do, which is still going, right? By the way, you guys should check it out. Tamra Zoner is still doing the Spirit Cafe podcast, and we interviewed him on there as well. So Neil is like a brother from another Catholic mother. He's very snarky and fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him. Would love it if you did a series on the Bible, and so much scared me as a kid. Your videos have reduced my fear of the Bible and increased my appreciation. Well, I'm glad. I think all ancient texts, every one of them, should be read with your love goggles on, because God is love, and anything that's fearful is the mind of man wrapping something around God. And the reality of it is, if God is love, then you should put your love goggles on and just read the things that are loving and live that life. Because as the Buddha said, what you think, you become. You create your world. And Krishna said, you're the culmination of your thought. And Jeshua said, as a man thinketh, so is he. So if you're thinking only love with your love goggles on, then you will see a loving world. And you'll live a loving world. Becky, I'm so glad you got something out of the Recovering Catholic. I'm pretty happy about that Recovering Catholic video. Over the next bit of time here, I'm going to do something that people have asked me for a year now. I'm going to start doing a series of videos on the Book of John, and it'll probably be broken up into several videos, because I really want to break into it. Because there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad, and there's just stuff in there that's I don't believe is accurate, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. So I figured doing the Book of John in chunks like that will be a great little series to do. Well, thank you, Chitra. Chitra, when I was in show business doing my comedy show, I before I got into it, I used to sing in bars. There was a group called the Acapellers, and I had a high tenor, and I used to sing all the high notes. And then I did a show that I performed over 4,000 times, where I played Sir Nigel Hack, the richest, most handsome knight in the realm, gentleman adventurer and God among men. And my voice over the years has gotten lower and lower and lower. And now I do my radio voice, and I find it funny. And I like to do my my James Earl Jones impression. This is the book that got Bubba cooked. So that's my thank you. I like my radio voice too. It's fun. Let me see what else we got here. It's like a knowing, yeah. Yeah, super chat should absolutely be on. At the bottom of the chat board, there's a little $sign down there. That's where it is. It is definitely on. Where are we? Oh, Frequency 101, you are welcome. Thank you so much for your words. Is that Maija? Is that how you say that name, Maija? I like that name. I like the spelling of the name. When you have a generic name like John Davis, interesting names stand out, and you go, ooh, what's that? Yeah, Jonathan, I hope you enjoy that regression. I still can't listen to parts of it myself. It makes me cry. But I hope you get something good out of it. Much love, family. Oh, well, thank you, Lisa. The Sermon on the Mount videos, that actually came about because someone asked me about doing something on the Sermon on the Mount, and I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, I really got to do it, right? And so I was going to do it as one, and I got halfway through, and I looked down, and I'd been recording for an hour, so I thought, ooh, I guess this is going to be a part 1, part 2. The Yacofellas. Yeah, it was great. Petro, I think that's an interesting concept. Your concept is based upon linear time, and I don't necessarily think that time is that linear. I really think that that it is kind of timeless in a way. So I think that all of us are here. And there's another thing is your concept also is based upon the idea that reincarnation is one soul becoming another soul, becoming person to person. I'm not 100% sure what reincarnation is. I know that I have these memories, but in my life, I have met multiple people who thought they were John. I've met multiple Peters and Pauls. I've met over 30 people who think they're Mary Magdalene. And it would be completely hypocritical of me to discount their story. So to me, I don't know if they were or are or not, but to me, it's one of those theoretical things that I have no direct answer for. I just know I have the memories. So if you look at my channel, it's called the John of New channel. It's not called the John of Old channel because I consider myself John Davis. I don't consider myself John the Beloved. I consider, I think it really doesn't matter who you were. It only matters who you are, because right now in this moment is the only moment you're conscious. It's the only moment you have thought, word, and deed. And if you really think about it, the present moment is the only moment you live. Your past is just a collection of present moment memories, and your future is just a place where you set goals. But everything you experience happens in your present moment. And so it's a matter of, you might have those experiences, you might have those memories, but what are you doing with it? That's really the key in my book. But like I say, I wouldn't discount it. Lisa, what question is Brick Mama asking me to answer? Did I miss something? I'm trying to stay up. Maya with it, but do you pronounce the J? So is like Maya, Maija like Maya, or is it Maya? I'm crazy. At some point, I do want to talk about the Gnostic texts, because I don't think they're invalid. I think they're just ancient texts as well, and I think that there's in many of them there's a lot of really interesting things there. The Gospel of Thomas is incredible. I mean, really, really phenomenal. So there's a lot to talk about. That is so true, Joe. The Bible Belt is not the easiest place to come out, but I found when I was down in Georgia, I had a lot of people who believed like I did, who just they kind of found their own community. What are my demographics? Are you asking me? Well, is it Jay Zen? I like that. I like that name too. If that's Jay Zen or Zhen, I bet if it's Zhen, that's cool. Or Jay Zen's cool too. I'm happy you caught our live as well. Um, and faithful girl, I believe that too. I think that when people talk about life plans and soul contracts and blueprints, I think it's almost a justification for not creating their life. They say, "Well, I must be going through this because of my plan." Well, that means you're not actively using your free will, and so that to me, it just disempowers you. Hello there, Vincent. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Gunhild, hello. How are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Blessings upon you. Thank you. Oh, see you. I am Love 68. Have a great evening. Thank you for coming by and visiting with us. Really a pleasure. Bible college was rough, I'm sure. It's an Jay Zen. Jay Zen. Thank you. Thank you. All healing, in my opinion, is done in the present moment, and I think that when you look at the Bible, he says, "Be born again." He says, "You must come as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven." I think it's a matter of saying, "I am healed," and being very present in that I am healing. Bible says, "Whatever you ask in God's name is granted if you have faith." And Moses said God's name was I am, not I will be or I was. So whatever happened in your past, if you can take it and say, that was that part of my life and I am now here. I am now doing this. Because too many people sit in the present moment and they say, this is how life is because of that. But they don't realize they can say, well, that was that part of my life and now I'm doing this. And by that subtle shift right there, to realizing that I'm not a victim of my past, but a creator of my future. And that subtle transition from that belief from one to the other will change your life. It'll change your entire experience. Because the concept of having to go back and heal things from your past lives, you can let that go right now. You can cut the rope to that right now just by saying, nope, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm creating my life and moving forward. And that's my take on it anyway. Hello, New Hampshire, but currently in Florida. Oh, Chitra, that's you. Female version of Jason Michael. Okay. Good evening, Kathy Persons. Hello. My channel's demographic. I am 60% female, 40% male. Average age is 45 and up. I've got some down into the 20s, but the bulk of my audience is 45 and up, with the greatest percentages being over 60. And so that's really what the channel is attracting right now. I think it's a lot of the people who really came up in Catholicism and are finding their way out of it. Lisa asked about memories of appearance and personalities of other disciples. I've done videos on various disciples already on the John and Do channel. I have talked about having a man walk into a room, and I physically knew he was Peter. I knew that was the same body and man, and it was a very interesting experience because I never verify a past life, because it's not. I'm not that type of person. I don't verify, and I get asked to verify past lives almost every day, and so I don't do it. It's a slippery slope. Um, but when I saw this guy come in the room, I was like, oh well, oh my gosh! I turned to um, one of the psychics who had read for me, and I said, I think that's Peter, and him and his wife came up and they're talking to us, and I didn't verify anything, but I kind of mentioned, you know, I like the days I was fishing with Peter. I just kind of threw the name Peter out just to see if I'd get a reaction. No real reaction. They left. And about a week later, I got an email from the wife, and she says, "We heard you say Peter. How'd you know I was Peter?" So it was like he was the physical body, but she believed she was Peter. So it was like it was a very fascinating experience. Um, and they may have both been Peter for all I know, or you know, his energy. She might have been reading his energy. She might have been empathic and picking that up. Who knows? But to me, it like I say, it only matters who you are now and what you're doing now. Um, yeah, Edgar Casey. I tell you, he was a big deal for me because I had 19 psychics tell me about the past life, and I was like, no more. I don't want to hear from psychics. And I turned. I said, just give me a sign. And I opened up a book, Edgar Casey on the Millennium, and it says John the Beloved will again be named John. And I was like, oh crap. So then I went and got my regression. So Edgar Casey was a milestone for me. Didn't I just tell the demographics? I think I did. Maybe I'm reading this late. Um, Sva- Svava? Oh, what a cool name that one is. You'll have to tell me how to say that. And thank you for being here and listening and seeking your personal truth because that's all that really matters is that you find your personal truth. Um, Absolutely, T weeks. I think it's totally possible. All I know is that I have these memories and I feel responsible for talking about them and talking about what my personal truth is. And so that feels right. Oh, thank you, Bridget. Yeah, the thumbs up really do help me. People, the YouTube algorithm tends to like the thumbs up button a lot. So if you come in, if you're here, you want to help. That's a quick and easy way to help. Um, that and the super thanks and all that stuff. That's all the easy way to help. Um, Book of Joshua was the start of my awakening in Enoch. Yeah, and the ancient texts, the Book of Joshua, and Enoch, especially Enoch. Enoch's amazing, but they're so you've really got to read them from a modern perspective in a way, to and then try to adapt what they're saying. Um, and Ram Dass was great too. I agree with that, Chitra. Um, oh well, I'm glad you like that answer. The very loud. We used to say, "Are you trying to convince me or yourself?" And that's precisely it. People get angry when they're challenged, and I get people who get mad at me and yell at me and call me antichrist and blasphemer and so many things. And false prophet's a big one. I get that one. But it's always the heavily Christian folks who believe that they're the only ones who are right, and they're not open to hearing and looking for love outside of that expression. Um, yeah, I'm a recovering Catholic too. By the way, I'm changing the title of the book that I'm writing. It's actually no longer the Recovering Catholic's Guide to Spirituality. It's now the Recovering Catholic Survival Guide. I just think it's a better title. um, uh, That's a very, Becky, that is an interesting question. How would I respond to someone who constantly says, I'll just be glad when Jesus comes to take us all home? This person has zero joy. I don't know how to help them. Well, first of all, let me say, oh, thank you. Thank you for that super chat. That's wonderful. Let me first say it's not your job to save the world. It's your job to make your part so bright that people save themselves by your example. But if that was me, and I'm gonna paraphrase it right now. I will have to look up this exact quote and do a video on this. Joshua literally says, let tomorrow take care of itself. Be here today. And so I would actually, if I was you, I would dig in and I would find that exact quote and I would memorize it from the Bible and say, well, remember, Jesus said, you have to say Jesus with them. Jesus said, da-da-da-da-da. So let's not think about what's coming tomorrow. Think about being here today. And then he said, this one commandment, I leave you one commandment, love one another. So who did you love today? And I would just make sure you have to speak to them in their language. And their language is the Bible. So, hello, Ashley. Nice to see you as well. Did I miss something? I'm not sure who's at the pearly gates. Yeah, I actually spoke at the ARE in Virginia Beach, in Houston, and in Portland. And they used to sell the book about me there in Virginia Beach. Iceland. Iceland. I've been to Reykjavik myself. Swam in the Blue Lagoon. The USO. I went up there to entertain the soldiers up there. And I actually enjoyed Iceland. It was good. It was very fun. Do you ever get back to Delaware to visit my family? Usually in the summertime and at Christmas. And pretty soon I'll see them much more because I'm manifesting a move back. And I talk to my sister almost every day. And she comes in here and she stalks this chat board. She's on here right now. You might not know it, though. Da, 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 da. She's one of you people out there. Yes, Jonathan, love this question. I practiced so many different forms of meditation. I tried, mantra meditations, breathing meditations, candle meditations, walking meditations. I did them all. I discovered that every one of them took me to this one moment. And it was the moment where I went and just let go. And then one day I said, what if I just let go? And I sat down and I went, and the goosebumps raised on my arms. Right? I don't know if you can see that or not. I don't know if you see that. It doesn't really show it up real well. The goosebumps raised on my arm. I could feel that sensation. And I realized that sensation was love. I realized that sensation was the expression of God. And then I found out about when we are in a fear state, we hold air in our bodies. And actors are trained to exhale and relax all their muscles when they forget their lines. And all their lines come rushing right back into their head. And so they're actually shutting off the fear response. They're shutting off the fear response. And what's fascinating is the Buddha says the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. And the Sufis say that God's on one side of a veil and we're on the other side of the veil, and the veil is our fear, and our life is a struggle against the veil. And when we release our fears, we come to the space of love. And so when I go into that room, the first thing I do is I just feel that feeling. And at first, when you first do it, it feels like you're just feeling a really good sensation. But when you put your attention on that sensation, that sensation expands. And it's just like any other form of meditation. 90% of the people I talk to don't think they can meditate. And the reason is because they sit there and they go, and then they hear a thought pop into their head. And the thought, did you pay your bills, right? And they go, oh, and they clear their mind again. They go back, and another thought pops in. They clear their mind again. And after the third or fourth time, they say, I can't meditate. But the people who are really good at it are the ones who continue doing it until the quiet time between the thoughts lasts longer. And then as it gets longer and longer, you come to find out that the quiet time is the meditation. And what I do is I go, and I drop into that state without having to go through the struggle of the battle against the fears. Because if you think about what I just said, did you pay your bills? That's a fear. Turn the stove off? That's a fear. These are your fears bubbling up. And so you let go of your fear by getting down in your breath. God is at the bottom of every breath you take. And if you take the moment to just go down to the bottom of your breath, you get to sit with God. Does that answer your question, Jonathan? Please let me know if that what else I can do. Yeah, I honestly, the faithful girl, the Peter quote, I don't remember that one at all. Claire, like I said, that is so generous of you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you I'm enjoying the Friday nights too, guys. It's really fun hanging out with you guys. Thank you so much. Yep. Secta, who was baptized in the way of John. You know what's interesting about the concept of baptized to me is there's no references anywhere, and I have no memory of Jeshua ever baptizing anybody. And so the whole concept of baptism itself is an ancient Judaic practice. It's not actually something that Jeshua actually did. So I find it interesting that the Christian church still does baptisms in that way, because that's actually a something that like the Essenes did. The Essenes did ritual baths, right? So it was very much not a Jeshua thing. It was much more a Jewish sect thing. He wore you, yeah, he wore you out. Yeah, I had Jehovah's Witness come to my door several times, and it just got to the point where they're not going to change their mind because they are so fervently active at coming to my door. So instead, I put a sign on my door that says, "If you're here to get me to join your cult, I won't." And they never came to my door again. In fact, one of them walked up to my door, read the sign, ran across my lawn, jumped in her car, and drove across my lawn to get away from my house, which I thought was interesting that she took that little sign on the door that way. I thought that was fascinating. Sorry, Becky, I read your line. It's like, oh, look out, Jesus coming back to get us. That's funny. I froze? Did I freeze? Okay, well, I didn't see me freeze, so jumping down. Oh, Ashley, I'm glad you liked the self-healing meditation. I actually like that one a lot. I'll tell you the one that I like that I like to listen to still is the meeting Jeshua, because what I did in that meditation is I literally took the experience of meeting him and having that experience, but then I also layered in the sound of the sun, like literally a NASA file sound of the sun in the background, and it's so there's this little rumbling sound in there that literally is the sun, and I just find that one very beautiful. I just like that meditation. Okay, great. I'm glad. Yeah, it's just go right to the exhale. The exhale meditation works well for me as well. Vincent, recovering Christian. I'm just gonna read what you said. Any advice for my first reading? Used to put my cross up to that stuff, but I want to love what I feared now. The final line, I want to love what I feared now. Um, the Buddha quote is, "The secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear," and I think it's not about loving what you fear, but releasing what you fear. To me, that's the more important element. Um, if you're talking about my readings, the readings that I do a channel writing beforehand. And here's how I do them. I sit down and I exhale, but when I exhale, I have already written your name on a sheet of paper, so my focus when I exhale is the person I'm reading for, and then a message comes through, and that is usually the jumping off point for the reading, and so the reading is really a conversation that is designed to guide. And what happens is sometimes the writings are spot on. Sometimes they're obscure and they have to be hit from different angles. But sometimes they are like full mediums, getting messages from passed on. But it's a matter of everything in that reading is about taking the person to their divinity and their personal power, and their understanding that they are part of God, love, consciousness, yada yada. So I don't know if that answers the question or not, but just come into it with an open heart, and if it doesn't feel good to you, then maybe it's not time for you to do that. But if it feels like it's somebody you'd like to talk to, or somebody that whoever the reader is, if they feel good to you when you talk to them or hear them talk, go for that. Was he baptized? I'm assuming you're thinking Jeshua. If he was, that would have happened before he met John. So I don't have a memory of that, so I don't know. Yeah, Doomsday, and it's the whole concept of Doomsday is interesting because they like to refer to Revelations, and Revelations was a contemporary piece written for Nero, about Nero, and even the word Armageddon, as I said the other day, is the word Armageddon means hill of Megiddo. It means that there's going to be a battle in the hill of Megiddo. Well, where's the hill of Megiddo? Right outside of Nazareth. It's like we're going to attack Jeshua's hometown, right? It's all very historic, contemporary stuff. It's like the time of Jeshua contemporary. So it's like it doesn't really, all the doomsday stuff is crazy. And then of course, if you're not Catholic and you're into some of the other Christian religions that believe in a rapture, that didn't come into being until the 1830s when Minister Darby wrote the rapture. And so even that is a later period thing that has nothing to do with the Bible. It's not in the Bible. And so when you think about all the doomsday stuff, then you think about what Jeshua said, think not upon tomorrow, be here today. It makes no sense to be focused on doomsday if you follow Jeshua. Because he said, don't think about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Be here today. And that to me is spectacular, I have many memories of Jeshua playing, like hardcore playing with children. He loved children because they just laughed and joked, and he would tease them, and he was like the crazy fun uncle who came to town. It was like kids loved him. I have a friend of mine who remembers being a child around him. One of her memories when she was regressed, and she remembers falling asleep with her head on his knee, which was just a beautiful thing. Were you always a loving, optimistic person? Thank you very much, because you're assuming I am now. What I am. Before your past life regression, or very different from now. I'm wondering if huge base personality change can happen after learning the truth. I don't necessarily think it's a personality change as much as it is a relationship to fear change. I don't fear death in any way, shape, or form. There's not much in this world that I have any fear of. And now that was a change, right? Because I was raised by a guy who was a racist and homophobic, and I was heading right down the route. I was there. I was using the bad words, and I had an epiphany at 19 that did change my experience, which didn't help my relationship with my father too much. But I remember as a child, before I was, I guess, 12, 13 years old, I was already a painter. I was painting, and I used to ride my bike into the town to the art store on the main street in Rehoboth, and I remember going into the store and saying hello to the two ladies behind the counter. And as I walked back to where the paints and the paintbrushes were, I heard the one lady say to the other lady, "That boy is always smiling." And if you knew my sister, she's a smiler too, and a giggler like me. So I think in some point there was some of that in there. But you also have to remember that I crucified my G.I. Joe in my backyard, and I used to have the imaginary friends. And there was a time when I was 5 where I got left behind at a trailer park, and the family drove away and didn't see me because there were so many kids. They missed one. And they turned around and came back to get me, and I was sitting on my godmother's porch talking to a little boy who told me everything's going to be fine. They're coming back now. And then just before they got there, he said, "They're here now. You'll be okay." And he went around the back of their house, and my family drove up in their Volkswagen bus on the other side of the house, and they never saw him. But he sat there and talked to me all the whole way time through. And so I had odd experiences even as a child. Let me jump down. Let's see what else we got. I want to tell you guys, at least I'm going to tell you a funny story about Jehovah's Witness. A friend of mine had a dance studio, and all day long she used to teach children. And she had young boys and young girls, and when you're a teacher, you just take care of what's going on, right? And little girls' dresses riding up, you go down and you fix it. Little boys' flies down, you pull it up. You do all those little things. And she'd been working with the kids all day, and there was a ring at her doorbell, and she opened the door, and there's a Jehovah's Witness there, and she looked down, and she saw his fly was down, so she instinctively reached down and pulled his fly up, and she said she pulled it up, and she realized what she was doing, and she kind of froze, and she looked up, and she let go, and she backed up, and the Jehovah's Witness guy went and turned around and left, which it's a hysterical story. But I've often thought, what would have happened if a Jehovah's Witness came up to my door, and I reached down and put his fly down? Anyway, that is a true story about her. I never did that to anybody else, though. Is Jesus coming back again, or is it Christ conscious? Well, first of all, let's talk about Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness is a New Age idea. It's something that people have been talking about, in that Yeshua taught about we are divine. It's not a Christ consciousness or a label or a mantle you put on. As far as him coming back, I'm not sure why he would if humanity is evolving, and I will say, having come out with this story over 20 years ago, and then going away from this work for 10 years and then coming back to it, there's a marked difference. Humanity is definitely evolving, because 20 years ago, all they could hear was about my past life. They couldn't hear anything I was teaching. And now they almost couldn't care about the past life. They only want to hear about the teachings and how they can step into their divinity. So there's a huge shift in humanity right now. And are they coming to us, or are we going to them? Maybe the second coming is we going to them. Who knows? So, but I don't have a real deep understanding of that in that way. But I'm not a prophet. I don't delve into prophecy, because I believe you need to be here now. And so I don't really dive into that sort of prophetic stuff. Jay Zen, did you see that on Next Level Soul? If you go to that interview again, if you look in there, the the description underneath the video, there's a discount code to get $50 off one of my readings. Right now, I'm booked out to July, so if you want to get it before it gets out to September, I would jump on and do that. Yeah, so that's really the place to go get it. And yeah, just go back to the Next Level Soul interview, and it's right in the description box. I have not seen the Resurrection with Ellen Burstyn. Oh, that's interesting. I have never heard of the Charles F. Hayne work. I'll have to look into that. Oh, I know exactly what caused my epiphany at 19. I walked into a convenience store and the guy gave me $5 too much change. And when I went back in, I gave the guy that $5 too much change back. The guy said, next guy in line said, "Well, there's something you don't see every day, an honest person." And I felt the swell of love in my body. And as I walked out of the store, it was like I remembered what Jeshua felt like. And this is long before my regressions, like 10 years more or more. And I walked out to the car and I was like, it was like I remembered that feeling. And then I got to the car and I said, and back then I called him Jesus. I said, "Jesus, is that you?" And it happened again. And it was the next day. I wasn't racist. I wasn't homophobic. I just didn't have that anymore. And I remember one of the fights I got in with my father one time where he called the neighbor down the road an N-word. And the kid was a great kid. He was a great, great kid. And he called him the N-word. And I called my father a bigot. And, well, that didn't end well. Let me just put it that way. Oh, thank you, Joe. That's lovely to hear. Jeff Mara was a great podcast. I actually really respect him because he's very specific about not endorsing anybody. He keeps his podcast and the intention of his channel really clean, and I really appreciate that about him. Hello, Barbie. T Weeks, I completely respect your position on meditation. I'm not sure I 100% agree, but that's what works for me. If that works for you, that's awesome. I completely respect that. You guys, stop! You're gonna make me blush. Stop that. What is any, if any, is the difference between Jeshua and Jesus? Jesus is a Greek pronunciation of I-E-S-U-S. Jeshua, and the pronunciation is a J and a Y mixed. Jeshua is what I remembered from my regression, and so that is what that's how I refer to him, and I actually prefer it because his whole thing was, he's a man. I'm the Son of Man, right? And Jesus has become a deity, a thing to pray to. And that's not who he was and what he taught, so I prefer Jeshua because that's the man, that's that guy. So, I think the paranormal shows might be a part of it. Or the paranormal shows might be happening because people are awakening. Oh, that's good. Great. Well, epiphanies will come when they come. I don't know why it came, but it came. Well, yeah, within minutes after we're done the live stream tonight, it'll be live on the channel as a video. So you'll be able to see it like almost right away. And actually, it's really interesting when people, like right now we have 62 people on here, and usually within 10 or 15 minutes after, it jumps to like hundreds watching it. So it's very interesting. Well, I hope Chitra, I hope it doesn't become John centric. I hope it becomes all of us centric. 'Cause that's a little heavy. Plus, you can rewind it, exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a lovely and very fun evening. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm gonna get off of here for a while. I was today was a busy day for me, so I'm gonna jump off. I was helping a good friend today. we hopefully had a lot of fun. How about it, Marcy? We'll definitely do it again next Friday as usual, and you'll be looking for the new videos coming out, I'm sure. If you haven't gone over and signed up and subscribed to Level Up Spirit channel, please do. That channel is where the long form videos are going up. So anything that's 30 minutes and up is going over there. Both channels have shorts because shorts are literally the drivers for new subscribers. So hey, that rhymed. Drivers for new subscribers. So both channels have shorts, but the long form stuff is over there. So thank you guys so much for a lovely evening, and you guys have a great night. See ya. Thank you for joining us at the Live Loving live stream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and visit us at johnofnew.com.